representing Voice from the Periphery. It's both a privilege and an honor to welcome you all to today's insightful lecture on social media as a Voice from the Periphery. We are deeply fortunate to have with us the distinguished Professor Rabindranath Bhattacharjee. Professor Bhattacharjee is distinguished scholar in the Department of Political Science at the University of Burdwan, West Bengal, India. His research primarily focused on democratic governance, poverty alleviation, and disaster management across countries. Throughout his career, he has made significant contributions to these fields, authoring numerous research papers and co-editing several influential books, including Land, Leadership, and Local Resource Management. His books, Governance and Poverty Reduction Beyond the Cage of the Best Practices, critically examine governance strategies aimed at poverty alleviation. Another notable works, Essay on International Terrorism, delve into the complexities of global terrorism. Professor Bhattacharya's excellence in academia has been recognized with several prestigious awards, including the Australian Government Awards, Endeavour Post-Doctoral Research Award in 2009, during which he conducted research at the Hawke Research Institute, University of South Australia, focusing on the role of NGOs and self-help groups in poverty alleviation. With any further delay, I will now invite Professor Bhattacharya to begin the session, sir. Up to you, sir.
Uh, Thank you very much, Raki. You tell your name is Raki, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Please, I have sent my PPT. If you just open my share my PPT. Share my.
Yes, sir, I am sharing the PPT, sir. Just give a minute, sir.
Okay.
So is it visible, sir?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, sir. Sir, can I just shift to the full screen mode, or is it like this?
No, you may shift it to the whole screen mode, but if you cannot, if I am not audible, in that case, please tell me that I'm not audible. Otherwise, I can't see that I'm not being audible because the three dots will not be there. Okay.
Okay, sir. No issues, sir.
Thank you very much. Today, I'll be first. Let me just tell you that I'm really thankful to this Voices from the Periphery. I have been acquainted with this organization a few days back, but I saw that you have organized so many lectures and very good lectures. It will be very. I'm honored to be a part of that lecture series. And today I'll be speaking on social media as the voices from the periphery. Next slide, please. On July 16, 2024, Survival International, I'm just giving just one photo of that X-handle report, but there was a video clipping. Survival International shared the report in its X handle, which revealed a rare sighting of this Mascopiro indigenous tribe from Peru. they are basically discussing something very agitatedly within themselves. They shared that, uh, and this sighting raised very much concern among the experts because Muscopino is the largest uncontacted tribe. There are uncontacted tribes, but this is the largest uncontacted. Not uh, even today, they are not contacted by any person. So that way, Muscopino, you can go to the website and you can see that. So this spotting, they can never come out of their jungle, of their area beyond the jungle. And that day they came out and that raised the concern, particularly because it occurred just a few miles from the commercial logging operations within the Peruvian territory of the Amazon rainforest. So the primary concern of the Survival International was that is a threat for the tribe's food supply due to deforestation, and regarding that they were among themselves, the Muscopino tribe were uh, discussing in an agitated manner, and this poses a serious risk to their survival. Now, this alarming situation became public attention through the social media, and that signaled a potential crisis. However, since the Muscopino remains uncontacted, direct communication with them is impossible. Even if communication were somehow feasible, it certainly could not happen through the social media. This raises an important question: what is the most effective way to communicate, especially by the uh, people living in the margin, living in the periphery area? Can social media serve as a powerful tool for communication? What ultimate role does social media play for the marginalized people from the periphery? And of course, can social media be utilized as a relevant and responsible channel of communication by the marginalized people? Next slide, please. Now, this is the various social media platforms. These are just a few. There are so many. I have taken this from Google website, and I have image source I have written there. There are Weibo chat. In China, they never used Facebook or Twitter or something like that. WhatsApp. They have Weibo chat. Like this, there are many other. We do not know what African people. I do not know what African people specifically use. But these are some of the social media platforms that we can have, that we have right at this moment. Next slide, please. It is very challenging, to identify the exact scope of virtual platforms, which may be mentioned as social media. Because what platforms are social media? You cannot mention all the platforms, virtual platforms. Then these are the total social media platforms available today. Nevertheless, we may point out some very well-known platforms like social networking sites, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter, different websites and blogs posted and maintained by governments, non-governmental organizations, and individuals that are, every government has got their own website and blogs. Webcasts and podcasts uploading video and audio content like YouTube, content aggregators like Reddit, and of course, microblogging space like Twitter, and maybe Weibo chat or some other platforms. But this list is not at all exhaustive. there are many other like this. According to KPO's report, KPO is a report that every year KPO authentically they give the digital report regarding how many people have been added, newly added to the social media platforms, to the uh, Android telephones, uh, how many people are using Facebooks, for example, or WhatsApp, all these type of things. Now, according to KPO's report, around one third of the Indian population, numbering 462 million, 46 crore, 32.2%, that remains active in social media platforms in January 2024. This number has definitely increased by 2025 January or February, but uh, in January 2024, 32.2% of the Indian population, they are using, I'm not giving you the global report, just Indian report I am telling, and that is they are active on social media. Besides, during that time, 1.12 billion cellular mobile connections, representing 78% of the total Indian population, were live. So 1.12 billion means 112 crores cellular mobile connections, but many persons have one, two, or three mobiles. So two, three mobiles are there. So that way you cannot equate that 112 crore cellular mobile connections means 112 crore people are using. But one thing is sure that 68% of Indian population in 2024, they were not using social media. But in near future, the number of people using social media will increase because 78% of the Indian population currently have cellular mobile connections, and maybe 78%, 112 crore, they have maybe synonymous connection that 112 crore people have cellular connections, so 112 crore people have uh, mobiles. Maybe that single persons have mobile 3 to 4 connections. Anyway, 78%, if it is less than 78%, if it is 60% also, then you can tell that the Indian population in near future will use social media and more and more manner. So that way, the social media using people will increase. And also citing Meta's advertising resources data, KPOs has mentioned that the number of Facebook users in India that is absolutely 366.9 million. That means more or less 37 crore in early 2024 people were using Facebook. Next slide, please. Now, concept of periphery. What do you mean by periphery? Normally, periphery assumes the existence of a center. But in social research, core periphery assumes the existence of inequalities and injustices on the basis of either uneven development or uneven social status, thriving on inequalities and imbalances in relationships. Basically, it creates a hierarchy of relationships, which is basically vertical. It's a top-down model. I mean, this periphery, core periphery model talks about a basically top-down model where all people at the down level, I mean bottom level, they basically at the receiving end, they cannot, I mean, who is in power? Just think, in political science, we tell that empowerment means taking part in decision making. But these people remaining at the receiving end can neither influence the decisions not not take part in the decisions. So that way, periphery is very important for developing a particular country. Next slide, please. Periphery is invisible. You know, in every society, you just think of Ralph Ellison's book, The Invisible Man. Who is invisible in a society? Uh, the beings, human beings, whom we think that they are not at all influential, they remain always invisible. For example, if you go by, if you walk around the street and there are two, three beggars and you have got some influential people, their homes are there, who are connected with you, you'll always keep in mind about those influential people, not about these beggars who are sitting in the street, on the street. In fact, like this is also a hierarchy that black people are invisible. Not all black people. I'm telling that the less influential blacks are invisible in a white society. Racial, lingual, or sexual minorities are invisible in respect to their majorities in such a society. Or tribal people remain invisible to the mainstream community until it comes out through the media. Let me just give you the example of Jyoti Kumar. You may have, you may remember that Jyoti Kumari was that girl, 15-year-old girl in 2020, that during COVID-19, she on cycle 1,200 kilometers she crossed from some place in Maharashtra to Bihar in his own home. And after that, it came to the local media, and then it went so much viral, it became so much viral that her name was, her incident was published in New York Times by Reuters. Reuters published that Ivanka Trump draws derision in India for praising migrants' hard journey home because draws derision because Ivanka Trump tweeted that she loved the incident, the caring daughter for her father, caring daughter regarding her father. But that was not the case. She wanted to sustain, she wanted to survive. So that's why people trolled Ivanka Trump on her Facebook page, on her social media. So that was the issue. If this type of things come out in the media, then that become viral, and these people like Jyoti Kumari, she becomes, of course, she becomes very much visible by Ivanka Trump, visible by New York Times, by Reuters. But how many? I mean, this is 0.0001% of the total population in Indian society or world society. So these invisible structured layers of society usually in previous days could not, nowadays cannot articulate their opinions because of a negative correlation with distance among different structures of the hierarchy. These structures of the hierarchy in such a manner, I mean, the status of these structures is such in such a manner, these are fixed, the status is fixed, that it poses a distance where Jyoti Kumari A girl like Jyoti Kumari cannot talk to the higher level, higher echelon of policymakers. So they always uh, receive what they are granted in the society. Next slide, please. Now, social media as voices from the margin. Why I'm taking this media, main media, I mean print media or electronic media, the main media, three types of media you can find. One is print media, another is electronic media, various TV channels, and third is social media. Now, these two, first two things, that is media, what we can call print media or electronic media, is owned and controlled by the rich people. So they don't publish and won't publish any news in which they don't profit in some way. But with the development of tele-network, I mean, some networking facility with the telephone companies, we have got now alternative platforms for expressing our views. This is social media that I have already mentioned, and they are making it is four-way. Mentioned here, wrongly mentioned three ways. There are many ways they're putting their impacts, but I will talk about four ways of beneficial impacts upon the margin, which is being made by the social media in the area of education, in democratic deliberation, social movement, and everyday resistance. Next slide, please. Social media and education. You know, during COVID-19, today I'm giving this lecture in online platform. On this online platform and education that developed basically during COVID. I mean, there Gmeet is the Google Meet was there, but it was not in wide circulation. So all these platforms, online platforms, that became that way. COVID is a boom. During COVID-19, these online platforms became very much visible. Now, we were segregated during these times in terms of communities and individuals. We were disappointed with this isolation. But then we realized that why not go ahead and integrate everything and create a larger value chain for spreading education through online platforms as well as social media. We got propelled and we started depending upon the resources one had and the capabilities the others have. And somehow education started propelling. See, education is one of the basic requirements for developing capabilities. So, education is the basic uh, requirements. I mean, Amartya Sen has talked about health, education, income. These are the basic three requirements for developing capability. And education is one of them, very vital. Without this, one cannot have the freedom of options. Now, if you don't have the freedom of options, then your potential will not be realized. That was Amartya Sen's view. And until and unless one's potential is realized, he cannot get the real functionings in a society. Now with Android phone, one can interact with the topmost professors of the topmost institutions by writing queries and even views on the chat box. You know, uh, uh, if you go to the YouTube and if you write lectures on AI, lectures on machine learning, or lectures on sovereignty, lectures on something like that, whatever you want to know, if you write that, you can find many lectures given by many reputed professors which have been uploaded. And one can easily listen to that. How can a person from Purulia can get acquainted with the views from Harvard regarding uh, sovereignty, regarding the concept of sovereignty as it is being defined and narrated by the scholars of Oxford, Cambridge. They have uploaded their lectures, and one can listen to that. And not only that, they can write their queries in the chat box. That is very good. I mean, uh, good in. If there is originality in the question. In many cases, the question is answered, and you can find that someone from without any proper education, also social media, a person from a few days back, I have seen that a person, uh, boy of 24 years, he has shown some weakness of Apple that hackers can use. And Apple have given the best award of 2023 or 24. NASA have recognized, many other people, other organizations have recognized. And that is due to available of social media platform. And of course, uh, his originality is of course there. So that way, uh, education is being uh, developed and furthered by social media. Next slide, please. On a higher level, such an education process has started interdisciplinary perspective where students at the periphery get opportunities to know AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning that I have told from YouTube lectures or blogs of reputed professors and universities. This increases the freedom of choices not only at the learning process but also at the level of valuable functions, even at the outlying area. I have given you the example of that boy who got recognized by NASA, Apple, and many other platforms. Next slide, please. Now, social movement from the margins. In the year 2006, Taranabad, Alonic Gender Azad, founded a program for the sexually assaulted colored young girls. That was in America. He used the phrase in 2006, Me Too, while she was talking to such a survivor. Later, in October 2017, Me Too movement was spread throughout many countries in the world with a tweet that went viral. I mean, if you have been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too as a reply to this tweet. And Me Too with this, that space that went viral. So many, they were at the margins, they were at the periphery. Top level producers, directors, they have exploited young girls, and they came out in so many professors also in India, in West Bengal, so many reputed professors. They have been accused that they have sexually harassed many young students, actresses, uh, workers, employees at the corporate world. So that way, the voices from the margin, the marginalized, till that date, I mean 16th October 2017, these were the marginalized voices. But those voices came out in the mainstream, I mean main platform through social media. And that way, social media did a lot in organizing social movements. Next slide, please. That was also in Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter movement initially was starting in 2017. But you know that it became vibrant when Michael Brown Jr. He was killed by police officer in 2014. And that police officer, white police officer, put knee on that, on the, I mean, neck of that black boy, Michael Brown Jr. He told, he was hard, telling time and again in the CCTV that, and also some, I mean, that became also viral, that some clipping, video clipping, that I'm suffocating, but without any mercy, that police officer, he in fact killed that person, Michael Brown Jr. And this incident sparked a huge movement, Black Lives Matter movement. And it was it was such a movement that if a person was writing that there was no leader, a person was writing that we'll be mobilizing today in like Archikor case. That someone is writing on the Facebook that we'll be there at night 12. And huge people, within 3-4 hours, huge people are coming out on the streets and being mobilized. So that was absolutely the charisma of the social media. Social media mobilized all these people, and the protesters were mobilized by the social media following Brown's step, like Archikor case. In Archikor case, you can find that how social movements were organized just by what was that? Anyway, that was their slogan, Rat Dakhol, that capturing of knives by the ladies. So throughout the USA, Black Lives Matter became a mobilization point, and using social media, protest movement would be organized by the young activists within a very short time. In Archikor case, it was 2-3 hours, but it was 15 to half an hour time, 15 minutes to half an hour time by which Black Lives Matter movement was organized, mobilized by social media. Next slide, please. Now, coming to the democratic deliberations. Democratic deliberations, or periphery relations and politics, somehow legitimized in many ways by social media. Normally, the leaders don't have any understanding about what the ground level, grassroots level workers are thinking regarding the leaders himself or regarding his policies or the state policies. Now, social media, in fact, brings together these, at the political level, these policymakers, decision makers, very influential people in politics, and not so much, I mean, the invisible people at the grassroots level. You can see that they post their opinions from the remote places on the social media. And some of these posts become very viral. And it becomes so much viral that ultimately uh, policymakers began to respond to that tweet or to that particular post, so Facebook post or WhatsApp post, sort of post or WhatsApp post became being viral. That something has happened to them, and police takes note of that incident. So that way, uh, at the polity level, leaders, they have the followers, they know the followers, but normally they don't have the knowledge, basically what their followers want, do they want. Now, social media gives that alternative platform. Of course, they could have uh, made these leaders at the meeting, or they can phone which cannot be responded, which will not be responded surely. But social media posts, it's posted. Many other people see that. Even friend can, social media friends, whom we call Facebook friend, he may comment as uh, hostile comment. He may post certain hostile comment. So that way, leaders may know about these the views of the grassroots levels workers through the social media pages. And in certain cases, if there is fraud in any some area, and that is identified by some viral post, policymakers respond to that, because without identification of the problem, there cannot be any policy. First and foremost thing is of a policy is that there should be an identification of a definite problem. There are so many problems, and those problems usually would have been identified by the print media or electronic media. But now, people from the grassroots level, they identify the problem. And even the social media, even the electronic media, they use the WhatsApp reporter to send us the WhatsApp report. And on the basis of that, it's viral reports. Sometimes the policies are also being set, being fixed up. The agenda is set. So social media that way also help in democratic deliberations. Now, multicultural identity, everyday resistance, and social media. Concept of identity is very amorphous. That remains in the difficult terrain of defining clearly. Generally speaking, identity is a social category that includes one into a certain social group, differentiating the specific group from other groups. Of course, identity evolves dialogically and reveals a blend of political yearning and allegiance that is expressive of the history of a larger community, as well as the resolution of those in the society who aspire in some ways to go beyond that history. As a social category, identity is often overlapping in a society. For example, Bengalis being overarching criteria accommodates various religious groups like Hindus as well as Muslims and Christians. Now, social media makes this inclusion and exclusion process of social categories in a very flexible way, constructing a community identity so that its nuanced operationalization is possible in a society. This can be visible during the time of festivals. You just see the festival and social media. During festival, whatever it may be Durga Puja, it may be in our case, I mean in West Bengal, Durga Puja is a very uh, widely celebrated festival. Eid or Christmas, in all these, during all these uh, festivals, the social media, they give us all space, give the space for uh, developing exchange by developing identity by exchanging with the people of other communities. I mean, the Muslim community people, they also exchange with Hindu community people. We also exchanges Eid Mubarak or Happy Christmas. And that way, multicultural identity that develops. I mean, I transgress the limits of my community, and thereby I uh, interact with other community people. And on the basis of this, you can tell that a uh, kaleidoscopic community developed. So that is multicultural identity. In fact, why I'm talking about multicultural identity? In every society, there are hierarchies of identity. You know, these hierarchies, if you are not Bengali, in a Bengali community, you will be, I mean, outsider. This outsider syndrome and insider syndrome that makes a person at the receiving end of the outsider remains at the receiving end. The insiders, they decide. But social media gives the opportunity to the outsiders to uh, exchange with the insiders and thereby establish his or her identity in that particular society as an insider. So that way, social media gives space for the marginalized identities. Next slide, please. Now, this is very important for everyday forms of resistance. What is everyday forms of resistance? Let me just tell you. Everyday resistance was used by James Scott. James Scott. He expressed in his book, The Everyday Forms of Resistance, in 1989, to see resistance as a social practice, characterized neither by typical class awareness, having a definite design, nor by definite outcome found not only within the peasantry but also amongst all social classes in an intersectional manner. Although Scott found it among the subalterns. But uh, it's a, what I have written here, that It's not that resistance which is, it's that resistance which is neither exceptional nor uncommon, nor dramatic occurrences like rebellion or revolution, as it is assumed, but a simple and integrated part of social existence. That if I exist, I always put some things in public sphere, although its prevalence may not be completely comprehensive. You may not comprehend that I am putting something by social media post. For example, let me tell you the jokes and memes. You know, jokes and memes uh, are the channels, channels through which people basically come out of their dominated positions, come out of their subaltern positions. They somehow uh, mimicry uh, the political leaders, in some cases with the wrath of the politicians. In West Bengal, there was a case of a professor, and that went on for 13 years because she just wrote a, uh, just shared a cartoon of Sonar Kerala regarding Chief Minister and her associate 13, 14 years back, and that's still now going on. But in a way, these jokes, memes, and also certain social practices that are part of the everyday existence, that avoids open and direct conflict and proposes a symbolic defiance, creating an independent social room from claiming dignity. That I have a dignity, you will have to obey that. This is, we take jokes and memes on the social media very lightly, but people expresses their grievances through this. They resist against the against the polity, against the majoritarianism through jokes, and thereby they uh, make a symbolic defiance of the usual rules, transgressing the limits of their. That every society has got certain. They have kept certain limits for every community, but through these jokes, through these memes, we basically transgress the limit put by the majority or dominant community in a society, and thereby we defy the hierarchy in a society. Dominance in the hierarchies of identity structures are thereby are resisted by the structures of the periphery through this sort of resistance in the form of jokes and memes. Next slide, please. Well, that is all. I hope I have tried to communicate you. Social media is very important area. Of course, there are challenges. I must tell you that there are many challenges in social media posts because fake news is there, rumor mongering is there, and in certain cases, a Dalit person is being has been beaten. This type of things, or some minority community person has been beaten. That create a communal riot also. But all these challenges, we have to accept. And for that, of course, we are now seeing that digital privacy bill, which has been made act now. So Digital Privacy Act, 2024. So that will be there to, hopefully, that will not be used by the political authority to suppress the Indian citizens or in other society their citizens. But of course, social media gives the space to the minority people, to the uh, marginalized people, to the dominated people to raise their voice. And that is a powerful tool. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful lecture. I will now ask our audience to post their questions in the chat box, or they can also unmute themselves and they can ask to directly our professors also. And we will do the same for the Facebook and the YouTube also. If they have any question, they can just simply write it down there. We have one question, sir.
Please.
Yeah. May I ask the question, sir?
Yeah.
Oh, sir. So it's asked by Aditya Shankar Chattopadhyay. He asked a question that how does social media function as a space of in quote hybridity for subaltern voices, and does this hybridity challenge or reinforce the digital colonialism?
Hybridity.
Yes,
Digital,
sir.
what? Digital hybridity, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Uh, of course, this is, of course, uh, digital colonialism is there. I must accept that uh, this meta, this, we always tell that there is also a joke. Let me begin with that joke that someone wrote that I want to buy a helicopter. What would be the price? And next day, he was flooded with many companies, I mean, his mail that this hotel, some very renowned hotel, they are offering some very good price, like 1 lakh per night, like this type of things. Ultimately, he wrote that now I want a sleeper. So then the whole discourse changed. So what I want to tell is that of course this digital world has also code. It's not that you know these likes. Meta has told that if you give us money, we'll give you more likes. Now, how this will be challenged? This is a very good question. Very good question. Uh, yes, in some way, we'll have to accept that dominance to a certain extent. The way they want to organize the social media will have to go by that. Uh, but that also, I mean, digital colonialism is there. I can't, uh, can't say that will be a post-colonial person as far as digital world is concerned. But still, then there is a difference with previous colonialism. What I want to tell is that there is an option. There are many other options. I mean, if I don't like Facebook, I have many other options of social media platforms, and uh, options are there, as well as this commercial owners, they also want to provide certain liberal views, at least on a facade. They want to uh, float float the liberal views. But if if there is certain resistance to the hardcore level, all these platforms will erase those posts. And that way, for example, let me just tell you, do you think that if the Naxalites, let me just tell you, Naxalites, they post something, forget about the government, the Meta or other Google, will they allow? They won't allow. So that way, the systemic challenges, if it is not in the form of everyday resistance, everyday forms of resistance will be allowed. But if it is form of revolution, post creating revolution, that will be immediately erased. So many political opponents, they have told me in West Bengal, I remain as a political analyst in ABP Anand channel, and there I have been told by at least 2-3 persons that their Facebook posts have been suspended for 1 month, 2 months, because they have done something. So someone is controlling, and but still then, it gives certain alternatives, enough spaces from which the marginalized voices can come up, can be raised. That is my point. Yes, of course, I accept your point, that Aditya's point, that digital colonialism is there and we cannot rather break this colonialism. But accepting this colonialism also, we have enough spaces by which we can raise their voice, and that voices can be raised from the margins, from the periphery areas. That was my
Thank you, sir. We can also add, sir, about the surveillance capitalism is also there. The even if in the fine documentary was there in the internet, I mean in the on in code Netflix, the social dilemma, it shows that how the social media platforms, eventually the Facebook and Instagram, I mean literally they can see us and they can always surveillance. They keep a surveillance on us. So we can also add on this note, sir.
definitely, definitely. I mean, I have just said one part. If I want to tell the next part, I mean how the surveillance is another lecture also, because yes, that is also organized surveillance. You put one thing in the, you searched one thing in the Google, next day you will get those type of information in many ways. That flight pair, if you search a flight pair, then you get flight pairs of so many other places that is being given discount, or if you see hotel, then make my trip, or other organizations, they will show you the hotel prices. So that is surveillance, of course, is there. And my IIT friend told me, he's also a professor, so he said that even if it is not, if I don't search, if I just put it, I don't know whether it is, I haven't found such, but he has told me that even if it is not in action, if you kept it silent and you talk, this, the media will, of course, it will capture that, and they will just survey on those things, what you are talking about. So even if you just talk, don't post, even in that case also, your Android phone makes a surveillance. Of course, the location is a basic surveillance. By that, police identifies a criminal. So where I am going, that is survey, being always under surveillance. But at the same time, what I am talking also, what I am posting, what I am doing, that is also he is telling that it is also being it's also under surveillance. Uh, Even if I do not post anything, I do not do anything in the Android phone, but I talk, and the phone is uh, just beside me, then also it will. I don't know, but yes, surveillance is a great point, and with much alarm, we'll have to take that social media in a way that way make certain things very wrong, and also so many young people, they also in some game chakkar mein they got entangled few years back. There was what was that, some blue whale game. Many boys, this on social media platform that was there. So government had to take the steps to ban those games and all these things. And also many young girls had to commit suicide because their face have been taken from the social media, and after that, that have been morphed and posted in bad ways.
Yes,
So
sir.
there are many alarming situations also in social media, but I'm not talking about that. I told about the positive areas. There are negative areas, and we should be, of course, we should also be very uh, alert regarding these suspectful areas of social media.
So we have thank you, sir, for the discussion. We have one question in our chat box. Is asked by Nilav Kushal. Is asking that we see the epistemic development of all the AIs are mainly from the nations of the global north. So, in a nutshell, can we say that it gives birth to a newer form of new colonialism, or in a way, a digital colonialism?
Uh, One way, we do not know. Right at this moment, we do not know what is going to happen in future, because AI is changing the world uh, in a great many ways. In a great many ways, and maybe within 5, 10 years, the whole world will be changing, uh, and to what extent it will change, whether that will be beneficial for the human race or that will put more people in the margins, that we don't know, because many people may uh, lose their jobs, and that is happening in so many areas. One AI can do the jobs of 100 or more than 100 people. So there will be one AI machine, and that will do the jobs. But uh, taking into consideration all these things, uh, it's not that global north only is doing. I mean, uh, we are also, I just tell you some Navik. Navik is a uh, GPS system. GPS system not provided by Google. In 1999, during the Kargil war, India wanted some specific location of Pakistan army from the US by using GPS. But that GPS system was denied to India. And during that time, Atal Bihari Vajpayee took the decisions that we will develop our own system. I have my own Navik in my mobile, Navik NAVI navigation with Indian constellation, Navik. So, and that is more accurate. We always think of north, global north, but ISRO has developed Navik, which is 5 meter accurate to the level of 5 meter, and GPS system is 12 meters to 15 meters accurate, and it is 5 meters accuracy. And also global north, now just we do not spend the money, you know, 5,000 to 7,000 or more than 7,100 crores have been spent by the government in Mahakumbh. But if it was spent in ISRO, or if it was spent in scientific developments, not it was spending, it would have been invested. Because whenever today ISRO has developed a system by which we are doing business, like we are space satellites, we are putting many satellites of many countries. 19 countries, they have made pact with that ISRO will put their satellites, small satellites in the space, so that they can get the benefits of weather forecast and all these things. So that way, it's a knowledge system. Whether if we have money, we are not spending that money for the right purpose, right cause. If we can use this knowledge system, we will have to be habituated. If we talk about certain only certain Mahakumbha and all these things, and to masjid, mosque and temple politics, then that will then not global not to dominate. But if we spend the money as an investment on Navik or any other space research development, then we will have, by which country have got only just 450 crores. I mean, that is, what is that? Bahubali was made by 1,000 crores, and by spending 450 crores, we sent a spaceship to Mars. So we can develop this knowledge system to such an extent people cannot understand. But we are not spending the money at the right place. And if we can spend the money, well, of course, this digital colonialism of global north will not exist. I mean, we can also develop this knowledge system to such an extent that we can dominate the world, dominate the system itself. Navik has been kept in the apple, and that is if you keep it in the apple, that means Indian government is getting money from them. So that way we can break that digital colonialism of global north.
Thank you, sir. Even if we can see that in recent years, in 2023, China also introduced its own AI tools. I mean, the DeepSeek, and it
Yes, yes,
literally through the
yes,
US
right.
market.
And after that 1 lakh crore share market fall was there in India. So China spends money for research R&D, and we are not spending that. There should be certain policy level changes for investing. This is investment. If we invest money, it's not spending. If we invest money for ISRO, that is not spending. That is not expenditure. That is an investment. After 5-10 years, like what it is happening, that we are getting satellite control knowledge of 19 countries. Now it will be 30 countries, 40 countries. So if we can allow those development in curriculum, and also spend money in the public area for science purpose, then we can also develop. I think we have that capability.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We will take one question from our book channel. It's asked by Shantan Sarkar. He's asking that are marginalized communities using social media as a tool of resistance, or are they merely participating in a gamified digital ecosystem that extracts their pain for corporate profit under the illusion of empowerment?
Very good question. Uh, they are thinking what he's telling, that they are thinking that we are empowered, but the thread is in the hands of some big owners. Yes, that is, in a way, people think that we are empowered, but the power remains in the hands of uh, some. Yes, in the digital world also, social media world, there is a code and there is a periphery. That we accept. But that is not illusion only. I mean, uh, if we tell that whole thing is an illusion, that social media is not empowering people, but basically putting them in the illusion, that illusion of being empowered, and some people are getting profits on the basis of the use of social media, then that will be, uh, I mean, wrong thing. For example, so many ladies in the world, not only here, in America also. In America also, there were so many incidents of Me Too. Me Too has become a matter of resistance, and that Me Too came out through social media. Black Lives Matter, that came out through uh, this movement came out through social media. Arjikot incident, that came out basically through, that movement was organized basically through Raddakhol, or capture of night capturing. That was uh, basically done by the social media. That anti-corruption by Anna Hazare, that was done by social media, large part of social media. And also Abhaya movement, I mean, Nirbhaya in Delhi, Nirbhaya case, that was in that case also. So these voiceless people, they came out and they got something done through social media. I of course tell that they were empowered. That time they were empowered, and they changed the system. That law was changed. The uh, people got punishment. Culprits got punished. So that way. Then also, if you think about the marginal people in education also, so many people uh, have got education that they are not they can't go to some good places, but they can, of course, face-to-face education would have been better. But by YouTube views, yes, they are making the profit. After 50,000 views, every view will earn 50 or 20. I don't know, 50 paise. It was a few months back. So 50 paise, and if it is 7 lakh, 8 lakh views, then the corporate world will, or the institute will gain, and the corporate world through advertisement they also gain. But at the same time, it spreads the education to the marginal people. I mean, Purulia person, a boy from Purulia, if he wants to get some uh, recent things, he can see the YouTube lectures on that particular, and if he's learned enough, he can find all these lectures very important in his life to change his life. So that way, in education, it is important. We are, I can give you many examples going by the news. If I had have got the time, I could have shown you that people at the grassroots level, they identify the problem, and since that post has become viral, they have made the policy owners to come with their terms. I mean, ultimately the policy has been made, because not only the problem was identified, it has come to the agenda. So that way, uh, and also in everyday resistance is there, it resists. If you don't interact with people and if there is no social media, you cannot resist people. In, so many posts are there whenever there is a communal riot, that minority, how minority values should be protected by the majorities. And good people are there. So that way it empowers the minorities also. They can express the views. So if we tell yes, the corporate world is, of course, they are making profit. The people who are uploading these lectures, if the views become higher, they also get the benefit the corporate world by putting the advertisement in that place, in that YouTube upload. They also make profit, but at the same time, this empowerment is going on through education, through resistance, through deliberation, and of course through uh, organizing social movements. Today is a different world. You cannot go in America, you cannot go by hand mic and tell you friends, you come and join us. Just post. So that way it helps. So people are definitely empowered, but at the same time, corporate world also, it's a it's a world of uh, sitting together or side by side, where corporate world is making profit at the same time the grassroots people they are also being empowered in various fields.
Thank you, sir. So, if anyone has any other questions, they can unmute themselves and ask to our professor, or otherwise, I think it's the end of our
But
beautiful.
I must tell that the questions those are asked very good questions, and this is a good platform. I mean, I have uh, delivered lectures in many online platforms, but such good questions I haven't got. In fact, after the I don't need. I mean, when I was in the last, I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes. In Australia, before I gave the public lecture, and that public lecture was heard by many people. I mean, uh, at least 100 people were there, the hall was full. But then, before coming back to India, when I was finished with my postdoctoral assignment, I my mentor told me that you deliver a seminar, whether it's good. And I saw 6 people were there. So I asked Alan Mine, a very renowned historian, only 6 persons. So he said, but they are expert in your field. Do you expect that who is not expert in your field will come to hear your lecture and will allow them to hear your lecture? So don't be disheartened. These are all very experts in your field as well as in this field. So that's why they have, and they have also interest. So they have. So that after that day, I don't care for the numbers. I care for I mean, quality people. So I got the questions, very quality questions. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for joining us today. And that's a beautiful session, and we learned a lot from today's lecture. So, if anyone has any other question, they can unmute themselves, or otherwise, it's an end of today's lecture. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just waiting.